Danny West, recruiting expert at HawgSports.com. Danny, thanks for calling in. How you doing?
Yes, sir. What's going on, Phil? Hey, Matt.
Danny.
Just a week before media days gets going. Anybody on this incoming class that you think can help early or at some point this year, somebody to look for?
Yeah, the 25 class that signed in December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I'll start at the top, Phil. I'll tell you one kid that I say kid, they're all grown now, but Tavion Wallace, obviously that's the easy pick, right? He was the number one, the highest rated signee in that class, a linebacker. We had him at 6'1", 215 when he signed in January. He enrolled early. You guys remember he went through spring ball. And, man, I saw him over the summer a couple of times in June, once out on the town and then once on campus there. And, man, he's got to be the most impressive turnaround from, early enrollee in January to where he's at right now. I bet he's put on 15 to 20 and just he looks the part. Now, I don't know that they're necessarily going to need him. They've got Steven Dix. They've got Sorey coming back. Obviously, they've added a couple of more experienced guys. You've got Bradley Shaw, as a sophomore now. So I don't know necessarily that they're just going to throw him in there, but, man, he sure looks the part. So I would start with him. I think there's probably a D lineman, maybe or two. Caleb Bell kind of sticks out. Keandre Johnson maybe, if he's healthy, maybe he can help him on the edge. Trent Sellers is a guy on the edge, 6'6", 250-ish, that I think maybe, he comes in late and maybe he surprises people, but you got to find the pass rush, guys. I mean, it's kind of, we're sitting here July 10th now. We're still talking about it. There's still questions, in terms of the defensive line, both on the interior, but especially the pass rush. You just have to wonder where that's going to come from. So my answer would be hopefully some of these young guys might surprise you and be able to help out too.
Yeah, I think we're going to really miss Landon Jackson as far as trying to replace him, and it's probably going to have to be by committee, no question about that. Danny, what about we kind of got into the weeds a little bit yesterday about tight end play and kind of a lack of tight end play last year. Not a lack of talent, it's just for some reason they weren't cohesive. They weren't simpatico. Who do you think? Do we have a tight end, one or two guys you think can step up and kind of be that tight end this year?
That's a great question. It's another position I've kind of been, I wouldn't say worried about, but just curious about. Everybody's curious at this point because there's so much turnover nowadays for everybody. But the tight end position, man, you think about Arkansas and tight ends, they're one of what? I want to say 3 programs that have multiple Mackey winners, with DJ and Hunter, obviously. But, man, you think of the last, 6-7 years, it just seems like the consistency of that position has fallen off. And a lot of it goes into recruiting. At one point they were bringing in 4-star guys left and right. Matter of fact, in one class alone, they had 3 4-star tight ends. I want to say that was 2015, Will Gregg, Cheyenne O'Grady, C.J. O'Grady, and I want to say Austin Cantrell. But anyway, you look at the last 6, 7, 8 years, and it's just kind of fallen off a little bit. There's the consistency hasn't been there. They had Luke Has, and he had his moments, and I think they're going to miss him more than people might, want to admit. But he was probably the closest big-time playmaker and really never fully tapped into that. So it's been a while. To answer your question, Matt, I think Rohan Jones coming in as a senior transfer, he came in from Montana State, kind of relatively unknown, but a lot of people got on him late after seeing his film. Reminds you of a lot of Luke, in my opinion. Similar build, maybe more athletic than Luke was, and can really run in space after the catch. So I think they've got some guys, but Jones would probably be the guy I look at right now and say he's probably got the best chance to be the guy.
We're talking a lot about the idea of continuity, hopefully on the offensive side, helping a lot with Talon and Coach Petrino, keeping in mind that you lost almost all of your receiving yards and almost all your receiving touchdowns too. So that continuity thing, I think, works both ways. But there's also over 50 new players. I mean, there's close to 60 new players, I think, on this team. 56, 55, somewhere around there, and incoming freshmen and transfers. So Is this 2 years in a row where Arkansas has had some of the most amount of newcomers in the entire country? Because I think they may have, if not the most, close to the most in the SEC.
It's got to be. And some of that, people celebrate, it seems like. Some of the positions, we talk about the offensive line, and guys, I think Eric Mateos did a fine job last year. The offensive line, in terms of numbers, is still down. People don't talk about it, but typically you see an SEC team somewhere around the 17, 18 mark for scholarship offensive linemen all the time. Throughout the year, any point of the year, that's what they're going to have. Eric's been dealing with 13, 14. I'm not making excuses for him. He's tried to slowly rebuild this thing, and a lot happened with this 2025 transfer class and freshman class that allows him to feel good about that. But it's going to be a process, and with his numbers being down, of course, you don't have as many bodies to throw in there and try to figure it out. So that's another big question mark. The whole team's full of question because of what you talked about there, almost 60 new guys. But, yeah, it's the new trend. I would say Arkansas's got to be, I would have to study that, Phil, but just thinking about other teams around the SEC that I follow and try to track in recruiting, I don't see anybody I can't think of anybody that's even close. Maybe I'm wrong. Mississippi's been obviously really active in the portal, but, I think they're a lot of times more selective, too. They just go and pick and choose. So Arkansas sometimes is out of necessity, as we've seen. We've seen some departures that were really big.
I'm a fan of speed, and if you're in the SEC and you don't have speed, you're not going to win a lot of games. How are our D-backs this year? Safeties, cornerbacks, do we have some speed on the outsides that can kind of prevent the big play and then also kind of make up when we make mistakes? Do you like our set of D-backs this year?
Ben, I think it's sneaky good, but again, they had a couple of guys that they feel good about. Kanai Walker, Jordan Young, Trey Biddy would probably be the better guy to ask because he's out there every day in the spring watching these guys. But Julian Neal was one of their biggest gets at corner. In terms of just straight-up speed, Matt, I don't know if they've got anybody that's catching you, but,
Or Jordan Anthony.
Yeah, right. But, I don't know that they've got any, just game breakers like that, but I like the experience that they brought in. I think they've got physicality in the back end. I think they're a really physical group, but a lot of that, again, is yet to be seen. I would feel good about it, probably better about it than a lot of people would. I think it's sneaky good, but again, you never know until you know. But Jordan Young, Kanai Walker, and Julian Neal were probably three of the gets that I was most excited about personally, just because I think they needed them at corner. Then you think about safety. They've got experience back there. Shakira Smalls comes in, but Larry Worth, Caleb Wooden, they kind of held those spots down in the spring, and I think they're going to be tough to beat out. But in terms of all SEC talent, I just don't know that they've got a whole bunch of that back there right now. I think they've got some good quality, experienced guys, but nobody that's just going to be a household name, I wouldn't say.
Danny, I'm looking at on 2026, I believe it is here, and I was counting only 4 Arkansans that are on that are committed to Arkansas. That's 4 players out of a class right now that's 26, and you saw this 4-star defensive back Braxton Lindsey from Rogers. He chooses BYU over Arkansas and a number of other things, and that's been a topic about. I don't know if you say misses in recruiting or not recruiting or whatever it is, but what is your view on this coaching staff and how they recruit the state of Arkansas?
Sure. Yeah, actually, a couple of weeks ago I had a story on this. Kind of my story of the summer is the way I would put it. But, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, Phil, but you're right. There's some cases, it's a case-by-case deal. There are some cases right now where Arkansas is saying, okay, your asking price is way more than we're willing to pay, and I think that's a long conversation in itself. But I do think there's a big fish, small pond mentality that exists in Arkansas. When a lot of these kids, they grow up, they see the 4 stars and the 5 stars by their name, and you're in little old Arkansas, you might be one of 3, 4, 5 guys that have that, and it blows up. And everybody's pushing them to Fayetteville, and they're told all their life, you got to go here. And then nowadays you throw in this new wrench of the money can come from anywhere. And if Arkansas is sitting in Fayetteville not willing to pay some of these, in my opinion, crazy asking prices, not all of them, but a lot of them are way more than I would pay too. I think you've got to make a choice at some point. You've got X amount of money to spend. Do you want to spend it on high school players from within inside the state that over the last 10, 15 years really haven't panned out a whole heck of a lot? There's been a few guys, outliers here and there. Or do you want to take that money and try to put the majority of it to guys who can help you right now, right? And it's very much a right now situation at Arkansas, so I think they've made the right choice there. Again, some of these guys are just getting beat. You know, there's LSU will come in, Oklahoma will come in. They've got a bigger NIL package, more tradition, whatever the case may be. Some of that's happening still, but a lot of this is just Arkansas saying, hey, I think we can spend the same amount of money and get a better or just as good player outside the state, or wait until the portal and get somebody who's definitely better and more capable of helping right now. But I think they're willing to kind of deal with the perception that comes with that. If you go chasing perception and feel-good stories and everybody's got to play at Arkansas, man, that can put you in a hole, as we've seen. So personally, you know, I don't get involved with my own opinions too much in it, but what I would do is exactly what they're doing, Phil. I wouldn't pay some of these prices I've been hearing. When you compare some of the in-state players, and I'm not going to disrespect their names or anything like that, but when I could compare some of their film to somebody else from out of state and they're costing twice as much as that other kid, come on now, it's got to chill out a little bit. And I think fans have got to understand that. In some of these cases, it's not always, you know, Pittman's just getting beat left and right. Sometimes it's a smart money decision.
Danny, just a couple minutes, if you can, and that goes on top of what we just spoke about. This situation with the Texas Tech offensive line with the freshman coming in, $5.1 million over 3 years or whatever it is. My understanding about this is that some of that is revenue share, and some of that is also Texas Tech basically telling this NIL clearinghouse, go ahead and tell us that we're not going to pay this kid this money. We're daring you. There are schools out there that are daring the Deloitte & Touche clearinghouse. Is Arkansas one of those schools?
I wouldn't think so. And the only reason I would say that is because it seems to me they've been kind of careful. You know, in the first 3 or 4 years here, we saw them, in my opinion, Phil, I think they were a little bit slow out of the gates. A lot of SEC teams were kind of welcoming this thing with open arms. We remember a time when, of course, Arkansas was trying to get Congress involved and trying to still figure out the rules after the game has already started, so to speak. You know, so just in terms of remembering that and not always seeing Arkansas be the most aggressive with new changes like this, it would surprise me if they are.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, and even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything. With updated odds on the MLB, UFC, and boxing to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.